24-hour scary stories. Driving home. It was a chilly autumn evening, and as the sun dipped below the horizon, the world transformed into a realm of shadows and secrets. Brian, a weary traveler, was driving home through a desolate stretch of rural road. The trees on either side of the road loomed like dark sentinels, their branches reaching out as if to snatch unwary travelers from the path. The winding road seemed to stretch on endlessly, with no signs of civilization in sight. Brian's radio, unreliable in these remote parts, crackled with static, and he navigated through the inky darkness with only his headlights to guide him. As he drove, a growing unease settled in his chest. The sense of isolation on this forsaken road was suffocating, and the oppressive darkness outside was matched by a growing fear within. Brian had heard stories of this road, tales of apparitions and spectral hitchhikers who lured unsuspecting travelers to their doom. He tried to shake off his apprehensions, reminding himself that he was a rational man. But as he continued down the winding road, a flicker of movement in his rearview mirror caught his eye. His heart quickened as he saw a figure standing at the side of the road, a shadowy silhouette. Brian slowed his car and considered whether to offer assistance. But something about the figure's presence unsettled him. The hitchhiker seemed out of place, dressed in old-fashioned clothing that looked like it belonged to another era. As he stared into the rearview mirror, the figure suddenly vanished. Brian's breath caught in his throat, and he swerved, nearly losing control of the car. He slammed on the brakes, pulling over to the side of the road, his heart pounding in his chest. He sat in the car, the engine idling, and peered into the darkness where the hitchhiker had stood. There was no sign of anyone. Perhaps it was a trick of the light, or his tired mind playing tricks on him. He shook his head and decided to continue his journey. The road stretched on, the shadows deepening around him. Brian's unease refused to dissipate. The radio, when he tried to turn it on, emitted only a low, ominous hum. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was not alone on this desolate road. As he drove, the car's headlights revealed a dilapidated, abandoned house by the side of the road. It stood as a testament to forgotten memories and haunting secrets. Brian slowed down, his curiosity piqued. He wondered what had transpired in that forsaken place. Against his better judgment, Brian parked the car and approached the house. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding, and the creaking of the old timbers seemed to mock his intrusion. He pushed open the door, and the house revealed its dark history. Inside, the walls were adorned with faded family portraits, their eyes seeming to follow him as he explored. Each room held a relic of the past, each corner whispering forgotten stories. But as he moved deeper into the house, the atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive. In the darkest, most remote part of the house, Brian discovered a room shrouded in darkness. He fumbled for his flashlight and cast its beam into the room. What he saw there sent a shiver down his spine. Huddled in the corner was a rocking chair, slowly swaying back and forth, its creaking rhythm echoing through the house. And in that chair, he saw the spectral figure of a woman, her eyes empty and lifeless, her pale hand extended toward him. A guttural cry escaped Brian's lips as he stumbled backward, fleeing from the room and the haunting specter within. He rushed back to his car, his heart racing with fear, and sped away from the accursed house. The road seemed to go on forever, the trees closing in around him, the shadows deepening as he drove. He couldn't escape the feeling that the night itself was conspiring against him, that something malevolent lurked in the darkness, drawing him further into its web. As the hours passed, Brian's sense of time and place grew distorted. The road had become a labyrinth of confusion, with no end in sight. The radio emitted nothing but a discordant, eerie melody, and the shadows outside the car seemed to move of their own accord. In the distance, he saw another figure on the road, a spectral hitchhiker, the same one he had seen earlier. This time, he could make out the figure's face, twisted in an expression of anguish. Brian's heart pounded as he realized that the hitchhiker was beckoning him closer, and the words formed in his mind. "Join us!" With a cry of terror, Brian accelerated, determined to escape this nightmarish road. But it seemed the road would never end, and the spectral hitchhiker pursued him relentlessly, her eyes empty and mournful. The car's engine roared, but the road remained endless, and the moonless night stretched on. Brian's frantic pleas for escape were met with only the oppressive silence of the road. As the night wore on, the shadows of the road claimed Brian, and the tale of the night dancer and her haunted road added another chapter to its chilling history. Ravenswood would forever remember the traveler who had vanished into the dark, never to return, his fate sealed by the malevolent forces that haunted the road he had dared to traverse.